All right, shall we get started? It is July 5th, 2022. It's the city council meeting, the city of West Liberty. Present are Councilwoman Dana Dominguez here, Councilwoman Karen Farren here, Councilman Omar Martinez
Here.
myself. Not present is Councilman Jose Zacharias. So I call this meeting to order. So we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda? Motion to approve agenda.
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved 3-0. We'll move to the approval of the consent agenda. Do we have a motion? Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Do we have a discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the consent agenda is approved 3-0. We will move into item 4 of the agenda, the public hearing. Do we have a motion to open the public hearing? Motion to open public hearing. Do we have a second? I'll second. Okay. Any discussion? Okay, Dana, Mr. Vogt? Yes. Karen? Yes. Omar?
Yes.
Okay, so the public hearing is now open for the proposed amendment to the West Liberty Urban Renewal Area.
Just note for the public that may be watching, back on June 7th, this particular piece of property was taken out of our urban renewal area. And what you're actually doing tonight will be putting this piece of property back into the urban renewal area. And the reason we did that is the urban renewal areas have a set number of years that you can actually collect increment if you're going to do a TIF project. And in order to restart the clock to help with this development, the attorney suggested that we take it out and then put it back in. Since your meeting on the 7th, we had a meeting scheduled with the county and school district to come hear their concerns. We had no comments and nobody showed up. And this was also taken to planning and zoning a week and a half ago on the 14th. And they're making a recommendation that the plan amendment that you'll be acting under shortly is consistent with our content. So be happy to answer any other questions that you may have.
I'm sorry I didn't ask this before, but when I was reading through it, kind of just popped up. What is there any cons to doing this? Like,
Absolutely not.
yeah,
Well, the only con is that you may not see the development happen without
right.
assistance. So,
Okay,
you know, this happens a lot. You know, this was part of the original urban renewal area. It was put in, I believe, in 2015. So there are 7 years that have lapsed with nothing on that property. So by taking it out, it does extend that time out a little bit longer by putting it back in.
and there was an exhibit where it mapped it out.
It's mainly the corner, it's the southwest corner of Max and Columbus.
Yeah,
There where the old tire shop
just
is.
that corner.
That's the piece of property
Okay.
that was taken out, is that specific lot and back in.
I just want to make sure, because I live like right on the other side in that cul-de-sac, so I didn't know. And I remember getting the notice in the mail, but I
Yeah.
didn't know if that affected anybody.
Notice is required to be sent within a certain distance of any time that you're gonna do a plan amendment. And that's why you would have received that notice, but the only piece that was taken out was that particular lot, and that's the lot that's going
Okay.
back in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And that's in order for us to capitalize off of the TIF funding.
Yeah, we'll be talking a little bit later about how we're gonna do that, but right now, what you got is your hearing to amend the urban renewal area by putting this piece back in.
Any other discussion, questions before we close the public hearing? Okay. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion closed.
Second. Okay. And we've had the discussion, so Omar, what's your vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So the public hearing is now closed. We will move to item 3, resolution 20220-705-01, a resolution to declare necessity and establish an urban renewal area pursuant to section 403.4 of the Code of Iowa and approve urban renewal plan amendment for the West Liberty urban renewal area. Do we have,
Motion for resolution declare necessity and establish an urban renewal area.
Second.
any further discussion? Councilwoman Dominguez? Yes. Councilwoman McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilman Martinez?
Yes.
Okay, so that resolution passes 3-0. We will move on to item 4, ordinance 01-20-220-705. Is that correct? Good, yep. An ordinance providing the division of taxes levied on taxable property in the July 2022 addition to the West Liberty Urban Renewal Area pursuant to section 403-1.19 of the Code of Iowa.
We would add prior, this is the ordinance that will actually put that piece back, and much like you did on the 7th, where you did your initial motion and you waived your second, third reading, the bond attorney that prepared this is hopeful that you'll do that same sort of action this evening to put it back into the area.
I heard a motion from Kara. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Do we need a specific motion to waive?
Yep, so
You'll do that after you have this. vote.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. We'll do that in this meeting or next meeting?
this
Right
This-
after.
Right after this one?
Right after this roll call, then you will, you'll have, or one of the council members can say that they like to waive the rules and do the second, third reading this.
Perfect. So we'll move into the vote. Councilman Dominguez? Yes.
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 So that passes 3-0. And do we have a motion to waive? I'll motion to waive the second and third. Second. Any discussion there? Okay. Omar?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that's waived the second and third readings.
And we have the prepared minutes, so the motion will go in the language that's necessary for that, and it has been prepared.
We'll move on to item 5, vendor voucher claims, consent vote. Sorry, I did that last time too, where I said the quiet part loud.
you're okay.
The vendor voucher claims list number 1 in the amount of $188,716.71. Do we have a motion?
Motion for vendor vouchers claims.
A second.
Okay, discussion, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the vendor voucher claims are approved, 3-0. We'll move into public comments and or correspondence. This is a time set aside for comments from the public on topics of city business other than those listed on the agenda. No action may be taken. Please state your name and address for the record and keep your comments to no more than 2 minutes. Do we have anybody on Zoom or anybody here who'd like to comment?
Just giving it a few minutes.
Yeah, that's fine for people to type or whatever.
I'm not seeing anything right now. Anybody raising their hand?
All right, we'll move, if that's cool, we'll move to city council public comments or correspondence. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share?
And then
City manager and or city clerk public public comments or correspondence, anything from you folks?
I have to report this evening. Thank you.
I have received a application from Vanessa Espinoza for the appointment process. We also received another correspondence from Steve Paulson with regards to petition. And then finally.
What was the petition, Lee? I'm
A
sorry.
petition to have a special election.
Oh, okay.
And I provided that to him. Those can be found at the Secretary of State
Mhm.
website, but the the public's more than welcome to contact me and I'll provide that for those who are interested in looking at that. And then finally, we received correspondence from County Attorney Jim Berry. Is a response and answer to Ms. Veronic's letter. And so I can share that with Mayor and Council when you have an opportunity. Okay. That is all.
When's the deadline for the petition? Can you remind me, or do you not know off the top of your head?
I think we had it for the 12th.
July 12th?
I have the public notice in your book.
We're
Oh,
actually
okay.
taking applications through the 12th.
Yes.
And then I think there'll be some discussion about how you want to handle that going forward to maybe have a recommendation on the 19th. And I think the public has, so like 14
14
days,
days,
I
yeah.
believe, afterwards, if they can.
Oh, after, okay,
I think after.
okay.
If there's nothing else, then we'll move on to old business. The city council discussion and appropriate follow-up to set finance and ordinance meeting to discuss ARPA funds for further recommendation to council. Would you want to set that meeting, or is that kind of what we just
We're
did?
just kind of following up to what we discussed earlier and how we sort of regrouped to review. I just had some second thoughts in regards to the money going, the ARPA money going to the undocumented, the Escuchame Voz group. And I am more inclined to give this first pool of money to start with city infrastructure and look towards training and incentives for emergency response, PD. I guess that's what we had talked about.
And are we going to, do we want further discussion, or is there something that we need to sort of vote on now, or are we kind of?
We still have we still have the other half of the money coming.
You have to, I think by 2024, you have to decide how you're going to spend the entirety of your funds.
Yeah, for the first half, we still have a couple of years,
Well,
right?
that's for all. You have to decide by 2024, and you have to have all of it spent by 2026.
Right, so, but this first half, the half that we already have, what is the deadline for that?
You just have to spend it by
2026,
2026.
2020,
You
okay.
have to
Yeah,
have
so
a
it's not
decision
like
by
we're not, like,
2024, so.
Coming up, I know
Yeah, no,
fiscal
you
years,
don't have any
September
deadlines.
kind of thing. Okay, okay.
That would be up to, you do not have to vote on where, how you want to proceed. If the consensus is to have the finance committee set another meeting to discuss how, by council, how you want to proceed with, I know you've already had one meeting and discussed, how your preliminary thoughts. Maybe, council's direction would be bringing back a set recommendation
Before we
to
do anything
proceed.
further.
I know that, we're always willing to find out more information. And it was discussed that for the second half of the money that we're going to be getting, that maybe in that meantime, we'll be able to find out how we maybe can help serve, the community, our community specifically in that regard.
So do you folks want to set a meeting now, or do you to have a follow-up discussion as far as that goes? Or do you want to do that via email in the coming week or so?
So if we were to have a meeting, we would just need to figure out what to propose to council to vote on. And then, so if we were to propose to this much money go to these specific things for the police department this time, or
whatever.
EMS, or whoever, we figure it out during that meeting, and then we would vote on it, and then and then the staff would work on a resolution. Is that right? For the next meeting?
Yeah, if you want to, we can put in specific line items
Mhm.
on how we want it dispersed that first half of the payment.
So you want to do that with that as the tentative agenda?
Sure, we can do that for,
Should we do that via email later, or do you want to set up a time now?
we can do email if you, well, are we able to do it via
Yes.
email? Okay,
Absolutely.
yeah,
We will know that that's coming, and then we will move on to item D. City council discussion and appropriate follow-up, city council member vacancy. We've sort of touched on some of that as
Yeah,
well.
We kind of touched on that we have received, our city clerk Lee Rich has received one application. That was put in the paper on June 30th, and it talked about what we were looking for an application. We'll take those, I believe it's till, what was it, noon or 5 p.m. on the 12th?
I think it's, the public notice is in there.
It's in, it is in the back. And then we're taking apps until the 12th.
So I have until noon on July 12th.
Perfect.
So we had talked a little bit staff wise, if the
Employee policy.
employee policy committee wanted to get together to look at the applications, talk about them, and then have a recommendation to come back to council for the 19th.
okay.
Fine.
Do we want to,
Another follow-up emails to get those scheduled, if you could help us,
Yeah.
Lee and Dave, that would be great.
I think your finance and your employee policy are the same. So even if you wanted to,
We can combine.
yeah,
they
if you
can
wanted
combine.
to combine, we can start off and then go into the next, just make it all under one agenda. That would be more convenient. So, yeah, you can get an email going and let us know and we'll set the agenda for you.
Cool. TBD.
who's gonna, do you want to send the email, Dana, or?
Sure.
Okay.
Because I have to look at my calendar and I'm sure
Okay.
you do too. And I can send an email letting y'all know what times are not good for me. Yeah. If that works.
Sure. So with that, we will move on to new business, resolution 20, item A. Resolution 20220705-02. A resolution authorizing and approving a loan agreement providing for the issuance of $200,000 general obligation economic development notes and providing a levy of taxes to pay the same. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
A second.
Discussion?
We would note that this resolution, actually, what it's doing is, as you recall, Ken Brooks with Wheelie was successful in obtaining a state grant to help Travis Shields with this project that we just put the urban renewal area back into. He has a no interest loan of $200,000 from the state, but that money has to come to the city. And when we ran the state agreement through our attorneys at Dorsey and Whitney, they wanted some changes. They went back and forth with the state. They made some changes to the agreement. And we're kind of to that point now where we're going to sign that agreement with the state that we will receive the $200,000 for that project. At your next meeting, the hope is that we will have another agreement then with Mr. Shield that will be a forgivable loan that we will utilize the TIF to help pay back that $200,000 to the state. That is a no interest loan that the city's getting on his behalf. And due to cash flow, we may end up paying this for a little bit, but TIF agreement will end up paying the city back anything that we have to upfront.
So how does
on
that,
payments.
how does that work? So basically the rebate that
He
what
would
they would
receive-
get
will
is
stay
gonna
with
go
the
to the
city.
loan.
Well, it will, if the city has made any payments towards that loan, then the city will retain those.
Okay.
dollars. And the agreement that you're signing tonight is, I believe it's for the $200,000 and there's another $12,000 in legal work that had to go. So we'll be able to capture all of that back
Okay,
in our subsequent agreement. If for some reason that Mr. Shields does not sign the agreement that we need him to sign, then we will just return the money to the state.
Okay.
So,
Any other questions for administration? Okay, and we'll do a vote. Councilwoman Dominguez,
yes.
Councilwoman McCarron,
Yes.
Councilman Martinez.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 3-0. We move on to item B, 20220-705-03. A resolution for final pay estimate in the amount of $10,272.50 to Northway Well and Pump for the West Liberty Water Utility Well Number 2 project. I'm sorry, the well number 2 project is cracks me up.
This is just the first part of the project. though,
No,
Madam Mayor.
I know. It's just like, I feel like it needs, like, well number 2 needs an MVP award or something in this town. So, sorry, folks, I'm just trying to laugh. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second that.
And then Leo's on the line if you want him to say anything, or if you have any questions for Mr. Foley this evening.
This is in addition to what we paid them that we were,
Okay.
Leo, is there anything that you'd like to add?
This is the final payment to them unless we do some other kind of contract. So at this point, we just wait for the DNR and then you'll get a report from us and then decide whether you want to go forward after that.
are we still waiting on DNR? Didn't we send those samples in?
We sent in a television report. They wanted a report a little bit different from Northway. We sent that to them and now we're waiting again for them. But pretty good chance they're going to approve it, I think. So then we'll put that into our final report with a cost estimate to you. And that should wrap up really that whole part of the project until we go to design and construct.
Do we have any more comments or questions? Okay, for a vote. Councilwoman Dominguez,
Yes.
Councilwoman McCarron,
Yes.
Councilman Martinez.
Yes.
That passes 3-0. Move on to item C, resolution 20220-705-04, a resolution setting fees to be collected pursuant to chapter 22 of the Code of Iowa.
And this, oh, motion,
Second.
Okay. Discussion.
and this is basically for setting fees for collection, records requests and stuff.
So Councilmember McFerrin, we are, essentially, it's really resetting to make public.
Okay.
We do have an administrative policy for public records requests. And on top of that, you have additional fees that are allowed to be charged for the work. Since the original administrative policy, we did not have anything about electronic pieces, and because primarily individuals would come to City Hall, they request copies, you would do the, review time and those things, but now with there actually being a little more time requirement for research, electronic mailing, those things are also can be included. So we just wanted to update and reset, so that way the public had knowledge of that as well.
Yep.
And that your clerk wouldn't be so giving and maybe charge for a little bit of work.
But I mean, it's fair. Most everybody else charges.
If I could do it in the 30 minutes, then, and that's what we provide, 30 minutes. So 30 minutes is at no charge. And there's a lot of times the records can be provided in that, but then there's a little more work required because there may be, some historic or some data or redacting of documents.
Lee, is there anything that you send when folks do FOIA that has like the state code listed for their rights for FOIA or anything like that, or is it on the website?
It's in our policy.
Okay.
It talks about the chapter 22.
Mhm.
But if there's any questions, I usually provide the link to
Okay.
where you can go to the Public Records Board if you have questions. And the public is, that they're there for them as well.
Mhm.
So they can inquire with the board and ask questions.
I just didn't see it in here, which I missed the first time, so, but that is available and accessible, so that's fine.
Any other questions? Okay. Put it to a vote. Councilman Martinez?
Yes.
Councilman McFerrin?
Yes,
Yes.
That passes 3-0. We'll move to item D, city council discussion and appropriate action to set an employee and policy meeting for city manager and city clerk evaluation review, city council rules of conduct governing body policy, city council meeting policy procedures. So that's just, we need to figure out when we're gonna do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um,
Again, it could be just a consensus. It may be a long committee meeting for everything if you want to break them out. Each council has done evaluations differently, so the reason why I'm putting that there is I think Councilmember McFerrin had shared historically, the mayor would take the initiative, send out, things to all the council members. The mayor would collect it, and then we would have the evaluation during closed session. The other option is having the employee policy committee be the one who initiates, collects, and then brings it together. So I would leave that for you folks to discuss and set how you would like to do that.
Yeah, I
The other ones
apologize. I
gave
thought
you
that
some
was,
examples.
I thought that was not in my purview. I thought that was the employee policy committee. So I'm happy to, since you folks are both on that and have other fish to fry, as it were, I'm happy to sort of organize that.
sure.
And get all that together. And I have some materials, but I'll connect with you, Lee.
Okay, you got what was sent,
Mhm.
what we've used in the past. Oh, I didn't know.
Oh,
Did you send that?
I'll make sure that you have we have an adopted form that we use.
okay.
We also have our own our individual evaluation that we provide to you.
There's like self-assessment.
Yeah, self-assessment.
And are you
then-
both finished with that or,
So,
Almost.
mentally.
right? So I'm just
Um,
curious about timelines. If I were to send everything out to council, in the next couple of days.
Yep, I think that we should get our evaluations out to you within the next day.
Okay,
And then that would allow you time then to establish communications individually with the council members. And then if you wanted to, then you could set on that next July meeting, we can have a closed session to go through those evaluations. I know I would want a closed session.
And whether you want to do it the next meeting or August.
that was gonna be my next question. So,
It could jump into August. I mean, everybody's busy. It takes a little
I think,
longer.
I mean, if it's okay with everybody, maybe August
August.
would be, that would give council plenty of time
Maybe
to.
plenty of time.
And
So we would
you-
provide our feedback to the mayor, that's what you're saying.
And then I
Okay.
would compile it and then,
We would meet in the session together.
in a closed session.
Yeah.
And then would it be, one closed session, like separate, like, okay.
It'll be a separate closed session for each of us.
So can I work with, Lee, with you on the logistics of setting those up and all that,
Yes, ma'am.
if that's cool? So, yeah, we'll plan that for maybe August 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
for-
then the other items were just, quick drafts. I pulled them from other communities. Some communities are very detailed, some communities are like, here's the rules. It just depends on how you folks wanna, operate for your council as a whole and for your public meetings, so.
Good to have.
So do we want to set a work session for those as well?
Sure, you can.
If you'd like, otherwise, yeah, we can included in the policy or the personnel?
I mean, there's, the stuff that you provided, Lee, is really helpful. It's, some of it's a lot. And
Mhm.
so like, I tried to get through because I was like, oh my gosh. And yeah,
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Yeah.
But, so I think I don't know if we'll have time, Kara, in one session to, plus the other stuff to get through all of
Yeah,
that stuff.
You can certainly during a work session, you can have that open discussion and you can go through those and you can say, yep, I like that. Nope, I don't like that. Some of them I looked at, they were too little. I mean, they just did not have enough. And then like the ones I provided you, there's a lot of detail where I think that you could, a process of elimination or maybe changing the wording to simplify, you know, to help it. So you certainly could do that.
I mean, I'm not wondering if we have a new council member who's going to be joining us, if it might be worth.
Maybe we could have that work session the second meeting in August.
That's sort of what I was thinking as well. It's August 16th.
Yeah, that
so
gives
that
us more
the
time.
new person can have
So in
a.
our next agenda, I'll make sure I set a work session
Great,
for you for that. purpose.
Perfect.
On what date is that?
that's August 16th.
16?
16th. Okay, 1/6.
For the two drafts.
Yeah. And that's for items 2 and 3 in the agenda.
Yeah.
Yep.
And by the way, if any of you, you know, again, you can go out to other communities yourself and you can take a look and if you find some other, I utilized our, the municipal financial officers blog. So, and I know Dave, they have the city managers, but you know, likewise, you folks can reach out to maybe folks that you've met with the Iowa Leagues or other communities. If you want to bring those resources in, and like I said, it's your policy.
Yeah,
so-
that's, I think having a little bit more time for that would be good for all of us. So,
One thing that I found out that really helped me about halfway in is like, I just copied one of the statements and then I Googled it and then I saw what other towns used it. And like, there was like 1 or 2 towns that, because they put this in their code, some cities, and they literally have like the state code after every single thing in their code. And so it was like this Bible of, oh my gosh, I can find stuff, you know? So I think that's really important and we can talk about that, but just for us too, when the legislation changes and stuff, we'll know exactly where to go and
I agree.
stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Cool. And maybe recognizing then that might be more than one work session if we get to that, if that is copacetic. Cool. Any other discussion on that one, on item D? Okay. We'll move to item E, set the date for the budget amendment for fiscal year 2022-23 on July 19th, 2022 at 7:30 PM, which is our next meeting.
Do we need a motion then to? Motion?
Second.
Consent or roll call for this one?
Just real quick, I had it on the previous meeting, but I was not able to collect all of the changes that needed to be done. I did provide a copy for you, so you'll have that to look at in the meantime, so.
And
And you
I'm,
can just consent.
can it be a consent?
Yep.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we'll do that on July 19th, 2022 at our next meeting. We will move to reports. Leo, do you have anything else for us?
No, I don't. I pass, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. City staff minutes, any questions, comments from council?
There isn't anything from electric?
No, not this go around. I do want to let you know that the electric department today was one of a number of the members in the RPGI group, which we're a member of, that was on producing and generating today. We were originally scheduled to generate from 11 to 1:30. That got changed about mid-morning, so our generation was scheduled to go from 2 to 6.
Wow.
And just a little, about 4:15, all of the members that were asked to generate, with the exception of, I think it was Ogden and Grand Junction. They were continued till 9 PM, but we finished up at 5:45 today, so.
So how often are we generating? it? Did we do it like next
Um,
week?
No,
This-
no,
okay.
it's been a while. Normally, when we generate is when there are issues down further south that
Okay.
require us to generate. It wasn't so much for us, it was
Yeah.
to
for
help
the-
others out.
Yeah.
So,
It's
Okay.
good demand.
I was gonna say it's because it's.
and then the other thing, I don't know if you all saw, but I had sent you all an email today. I'm gonna be out next week and I have the necessity of a family matter that came up and I'm gonna need to take some vacation, take care of a few things, but I will be attending the meeting next Monday night that we need for our task force.
Committee meetings, the March 2022 ambulance board meeting minutes.
And thank you to Omar and Councilmember Martinez and Councilmember Dominguez for getting the minutes for us, so.
Yeah, and in the future, we can try to remember to get those to you after the meeting. I don't know when the next meeting is. but-
No, that's fine, and just so we file and receive, and we have a record for them, and it's also helpful with, especially for public safety, for, you know, if you have to go back for things, and it also helps council to see that those meetings have been held, and if there's any questions or discussions that they need to have. Just to make that communication better.
And then the special committee task force fire and EMS service.
So we met or had our first meeting last week. I can't remember if I've said this already, but was it last week or the week before? I can't remember. We decided as a group to make it a special task force, which allows us a little bit more ability to kind of work together and be more open and things like that. Myself and Eric Christensen will be chairing and co-chairing that task force. And we set some rules and agreements and I think it went really, really well. We actually got done within the time frame. Everybody was just really excited to get working and everybody attended and what our next step is we are reviewing the Callahan consultant packet and basically just I think Mr. Brand has already submitted all of his ideas and things, which is great. But basically we'll just be communicating through email as we read through that, mark some notes, what we like, what we don't like, any things we have questions on or we want to visit further. We're exchanging information in that way. And then when we meet on Monday, we'll collect all of that and go from there. Anything to add, Kara?
I'm trying to get used to that online board that was made or whatever you call
You do
that,
Teams.
the file share. or
Well, it was the SharePoint.
The
Oh,
share,
okay.
okay.
But you know what?
Yeah.
That's just in case someone is like really excited to go and like look at all the other stuff. It's
Okay.
not- I think what Dick did was just fine, was to
Okay.
submit his things. I can put it in the SharePoint.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Yeah.
say for an archive, you know, just to file to make sure we have a record of it.
Okay.
Yep. And then like if we're at a meeting on Monday and I remember a law or something that I had saved in there, it's easy for me to just
To
go
go
in
in.
there and look for it
Okay.
instead of losing it and all the paperwork and stuff that I have. So.
Save some trees.
And likewise, there's an email tied to that.
Mhm.
So that makes, you know, again, for accessibility, if you just email the group and likewise, if it has to be researched or archived for records purposes.
Well done, both of you. Thank you. Anything else? Do you have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. This is consent. I forget.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, adjourn.